Did you realize right out of the gate that the underwriting and the numbers were way different? And was that something that was like, I'm guessing, just, and don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm guessing that was probably something that was like that hurdle in the beginning. It's like, how do I make these work, right? We're taking the laptop and trying to figure out how
Yeah.
are people penciling these out and making them work from a financial standpoint, right?
Yeah, and full disclosure, the only way that the numbers work is, in a lot of cases, is on the short term side of
Yeah.
things. I will tell you that the property that we're going to talk more about, our launch into this space, um, they did an assessment and appraisal for an annualized rental, furnished renting, and it was $3,200 a month. We'll call
Yeah.
it here in the Pittsburgh market, which isn't bad. That'll support a 350 or 400 home or whatever with
Yeah.
your taxes and things like that. But you know, in the short term space, we're at 5 to 6 thousand.
Yeah. Big
At
difference.
80% or
Yeah.
90% occupancy and things. It's just a different animal. The challenge I run into is having the stomach for letting things unfold. I will mention briefly that similar to one of your properties, that you're an 8 to 10 day out
Yeah.
destination.
Yeah.
Last night March was almost empty, and then somebody picked up 10 or 11 days last night,
Yeah.
literally all at once, and made the month. And
Yeah.
I was thinking, wow, is this the slow period that everybody thought it was?
Uh-huh.
But anyways, but yeah, it is a lot different. The financing is still, a challenge if you have to get into that space, but also having other interest in the property, whether it's your own personal use, or in our case, it's an adjacent property with an
Yeah.
easement on my wife and I's 10 acres that we have. So we're already joined at the hip, and we kind
Right.
of figured we just dive into it and see where it goes.
Let's talk about the property and
Mhm.
why that location. What led you down that road? Because it was a new build on your guys' existing property, right?
It was an extensive rehab, but it
Okay.
felt like a
Yeah.
new build. It
Yeah.
probably should have.
I felt like it was a new build when you were going through it.
It was. There was so much foundation work. In
Yeah.
fact, our budget, got blown up by literally 100% or more. But yeah, the appeal of this property was, I walk into my driveway. We sit at the top of the hill, wooded acreage and things. I can see this house down in the woods, down across our property. I see its driveway, which is on my
Yeah.
property and things. And it had been sitting for years and years. And my son was friends with the grandson of the family that owned it, way back in the day, so to speak. And we just sort of watched it, starting to cave in on itself. I have, I didn't go up and violate anybody's privacy or anything by entering the property or anything, but I get out on the driveway and that area, and I just see it, and a tree had fallen on it,
Yeah.
and as I mentioned to you before, we have two children. Our children, at least, used to be homebodies that like to be around us a lot and things. And my wife's like, you know what? We should buy that, hold on to it, and see what happens. Acreage. Probably in our area won't go down anytime soon here, and that's sort of how it started. We were thinking this was either a buy it, tear it down, keep it as adjacent property, just added space for us, or eventually my daughter and her family buys it and they move closer to us or something like that.
Yeah.
Neither seems to be working out right now, but I'm okay. We found a
Yeah.
way to pivot.
Right. And getting into it,
Yeah.
originally the plan wasn't, hey, we're going to buy this and turn it into a short-term rental. That wasn't
No, I
why
wanted
you
a
went
beach
down that road.
property, Sean. That's what I.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to talk to you about. Is
Yeah.
how can I get something that for my wife and I on the beach and things. And it was literally that, one of our first conversations.
Yeah.
And I think you were just asking me because you could sense, I think we talked twice in our second conversation. You said, what's stopping you from, taking that next step? And you're sitting on the dock here. You know where you want to go. The boat's there. Why? And and I'm conservative and I'm wondering and I'm worrying and I'm thinking and things. And, so I had mentally gotten my head into the space where you should educate yourself. You should find the best program, the best people to surround yourself with. Because I want to be the dummy in the room. I'll be honest with you. I am never the smartest guy in the Vodyssey
Yeah.
conversations, and I love it because so many other people are figuring things out and helping. But it was on that second call that I made mention that, well, I'll probably take this next step. At first, I have to deal with this darn house over the hill. I either have to put it in a dumpster or at least stabilize it. And you said, what? A house over the hill? That and tell me, aren't you like 15 minutes out of the city or whatever? And and you started to ask probing questions, and I think we both said, you know what, this is the experiment. This is the test market for us to
Yeah.
to take a run at it, and I'm so happy that we have. It hasn't been easy, mostly on the construction side. The Airbnb and the short term rental side is coming together pretty nicely with a lot of you and others' influence in the network and the community here. In one call, I got 3 different referrals that helped me stack all of my tech,
Yeah.
and go from losing revenue to figuring those things out
Yeah.
affordably, also because we're small
Yeah.
operators. So
What about, so talk to me about, because rehab, right?
yeah,
That was probably the most painful part of the process is one, I know from experience. I mean, I've spent 6 years rehabbing homes, and I always tell people that, man, you really have to understand what you're diving into, because it feels like on rehabs, every wall the problem you could see on the front of the wall, the minute you go to fix it, you pull that wall down, all of a sudden there's 5 other problems behind it.